meditations. Meditations to calm you down when you are angry. Meditations to cheer you up when you have a fear. Meditations to overcome the sense of jealousy for others and jealousy for yourself. Because some people have millions and trillions of dollars with them. And they are still not happy because they are still not satisfied. They are in self-jealousy mode. And so that is another way to declare your self-freedom and declare your freedom. But self-confidence is not a tablet that you take a tablet and you will be boosted with the self-confidence. It's a systematic process. More you listen to your inner voice, your ability to be in greater self-confidence will increase. Each time somebody says, you are a mad fellow, you are good for nothing, I go and meditate. I listen to my own inner voice. At that point in time, when I emerge out of meditation, I'm like a Bhim. I'm the most powerful person. I can take on anybody at that particular moment. And those moments are what you need to move forward in the life. But in order to do that, we need to treat ourselves as a temple. If we cannot treat ourselves as a temple in which God resides, we cannot get that self-worthiness. This I realized when I went to Khajuraho. If you have gone to Khajuraho temples, you would see that the exterior of the temple is with all these erotic poses. But as you move towards the sanctum sanctorium, there is nothing. There are no carvings. There is no beautification. And the innermost core of the sanctum sanctorium is plain walls, dark plain walls, and there is a window for a light to come in. We need to be in that state of pureness. Unfortunately, society has told us to beautify ourselves so much that there is tons and tons of garbage within us. Emotional garbage, garbage of social conditioning. And that reflects in our houses. You would see the drawing room of any house is the most pure place because it's exterior, just like Khajuraho temple. But the innermost room, which is sometimes your bedroom or sometimes your kitchen, remains to be the most dirtiest place because we stock and pile everything. That exactly has been happening with our body. That we have stocked lot of misconceptions. We have stocked lot of ideas of social conditioning within us. And they are all there in your stomach area. And I am referring to stomach area specifically because in order to purify yourself, we need to have an energy balance within us. There are 7 energy centers in the body. Muladhara, which is between your anus and your genital. Swadhisthana, which is just above your genital. Manipura, which is above your navel. Anahata, which is your heart. Vishuddha, which is your throat. Ajna, which is in between your 2 eyelids. And Sahasradhara, which is on top. And it is my theory that if your lower 3 chakras are balanced, your upper 4 chakras will be automatically balanced. Let me tell you why. Because Muladhara, the first chakra, receives the life energy from the earth. And what does earth do? It nurtures the life. So it's all about survival, flourishing, blossoming. But then we are so insecure that we don't know what will happen to us tomorrow. So our Muladhara has been imbalanced. Since Muladhara has imbalanced, we have a constant quest for a pleasure, for a comfortness, which is your Swadhisthana. That is why you will find people are either sexually repressed or sexually addicted. Because that's the only known factor by which we realize that we have a pleasure or not. And since both of them are imbalanced, we have a lack of self-confidence. And that lack of self-confidence we manifest as an ego, which is your Manipura, which is above your navel. So you are constantly projecting your misunderstood self-confidence, which is actually an ego. So people always look for titles. Oh, I am now sales executive. Can I become a regional head? From a regional head, can I become a national head? Because we believe that success is extrinsically linked to the titles, which is not the case. Since we have a lot of ego, it also creates jealousy and fear. And therefore, there is no love. So therefore, you have a heart which is mechanically beeping, but there is no love for yourself. Since you do not have a love for yourself, how can you be in love with somebody? And therefore, you always fall in love, not rise in love. As a consequence of not having love, we cannot express our true self. So either we are over communicating or we can't even communicate. Many intelligent people who lack self-confidence have ability to present and communicate effectively. And there are many other people who absolutely have shallow intelligence, but they have a bigger Manipura, bigger ego. You will find them as an chatterbox, over communicating. And often the boss who cannot distinguish between the genuine intelligence will find that chatterbox as the most intelligent person and most capable person in his life. And therefore, I think meditation is a good way to communicate with yourself and balance your energies, and look forward to our 51 meditations that Dilip and we have been putting together. So we need to balance the energies to take the negativity out. And I must tell you the stories that in Bhimnagar, since I was not able to go into the toilet for a morning duties, we all kids used to sit in the line. And those who have already done the morning duties, we would look at those excretas. We were very innocent that time. And we'll say, he has had a mutton yesterday. Oh, he had a spicy food yesterday. Oh, he is eating too much of sweet, because the excreta will be solid. So I developed that analytical capacity. And that helped me, because garbage in is garbage out. What you take in, what comes out. And so sometimes I encourage you to look at your own excreta in the toilet, because that will also tell you emotional state and emotional health that you are in. One of the things that meditation brought me is to connect not only with my true self, but understanding me better and to be in presence. And if you are present, then success will definitely walk towards you, because your actions are always going to be positive. Because success is directly proportional to the degree of realization of purpose and realization of life itself. You need to understand what is the purpose of your in this living form. But then let's come back to the hard things, things that have attracted you here, is that how I can be successful. And many of us are in quest of materialistic success. My good friend Robin Sharma talks about 8 different kinds of success. It's not only your professional success, financial success, but it's your emotional state, your index of your happiness, your ability to be in love with others, your ability to have gratitude for the supreme consciousness or that so-called entity called God. There are 8 different types of wealth. And success is an indication and demonstration of how much you love yourself. Because if you love yourself, you will have all these 8 kind of wealths flowing towards you, walking towards you. Also, many people say, oh, I'm not that lucky as you are. You are very successful, I'm not successful. Success is not an luck. Success is definitely not an accident. You determine how much you want to be successful. Because Deepak Chopra talks about a law of pure potentiality. You are born with infinite possibilities to succeed. When I was young, around 14, 15 years old, one of my teachers who used to tell fortune and look at the hands told me, you will never fly outside of India. For some time I believed him. As a consequence, it took me a long time to have my first overseas trip. Last week I met him and I showed him my passport with stamps of 53 different countries' immigrations. It's not a fortune teller who is going to shape your life. You are born with infinite possibilities. You need to realize that you are the unique creation of God or a supreme consciousness, and you will create your own possibility. Creating your own possibility means taking complete responsibility. It is only then you will be able to turn possibility into reality. And once you understand that, success will be bestowed upon you. I remember my daughter was 4 years old or 3 years old and we were having dinner in Sarja. And after that, she liked those cherries on Magai Pan. And she said, can I have those cherries? But the pan shop was closed. And I said, Maitri, we cannot have cherries because pan shop is closed. She then told me, impossible is nothing. That gave me an immense kick. I drove all the way to Deccan Gymkhana, found a shop that was open, got the Magai Pan, but it gave me a very basic principles of success. Impossible is nothing. In the worst of the worst situation, if you know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, you will overcome all impossible situations. Because there is no height that is impossible to scale. Before those 2 mountaineers scaled Mount Everest, everybody thought it's impossible to scale Mount Everest. Before those 2 astronauts went to moon, everybody thought that we cannot have a space shuttles and spacecraft. Today it's a reality. And I therefore strongly believe that impossible is nothing. What restricts you to achieve that impossible is I am possible. If you move those impossible, I am possible. Everything that seems to be impossible today will be possible. But then in order to make it possible, you need to dream. This is exactly what society tells you. Please don't dream. because dreams will lead to frustration. And my formula of success is equal to dream into plan into work. I have always dreamt to be scientist. I was weak in mathematics, so one of my teachers at school said, your mathematics is absolutely weak, you can never become a scientist. Well, 2 years back, I derived a formula for assessing the impact of digital publishing. So whenever the digital publishing impact factor will be talked about, Vishwas Sawant will be talked about. Believe me, I got 9 marks out of 300 in my 11th grade in mathematics. I still could deliver the formula. So I am possible. But then you need to make a plan. You need to put those dreams into reality. That can happen only with the plan. But in order to make the plan, you have to write down your dreams. My daughter just wrote down her dreams that she wants to travel across the globe when she is 16. She wants to have a house of 10 or 11 bedrooms where the bathroom opens into the nature, which means that visualization and writing and feeling it gave me a kick that I need to work better for her. I always had this feeling that I am different, because whenever I wrote my dreams, my mother, my parents, sometimes my friends, my teachers said, don't write the dreams, they don't become true. Now I have a wall of intentions, what I call as Vishwasutra's wall of intentions, where I have written all the dreams. We shy away writing the dreams. Tonight I encourage you to go back and write what you want to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Take that 35,000 feet view of your life. Get out of your body. Be that outer soul. Look at yourself and ask a question. Do I want to be the same 20 years from now? If you are in a worldly referral system, you are referred by somebody, you would continue to be in the same state. But if you are referred by yourself, you will move from your chair and make a difference. And therefore, I think conscious dreaming, not the daydreaming which is unconscious, but the conscious dreaming is essential component of your success. That needs to be backed up by 100% conviction and execution plan. So, after the Vishwasutra's wall of intentions and dreams, I have a wall of plan, where I make plan what 5 things I need to achieve today, what 10 things I need to achieve in this quarter, and what 20 things that I need to achieve at end of the year. So have a short-term plan and a long-term plan. But then don't just write, because I have seen many of those people who are in MLM, multi-level marketing. They are also told similar principles. They write, I want to go diamond this year. Diamond is earning something like 5 lakh rupees a month. Of course, you can go diamond, but for which you need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, meet 50 different people at the end of the day. The guy is sleeping until 12 o'clock. So you need to have a plan and you need to execute that plan, which means you need to be committed to yourself. You can only be committed to yourself if you are truthful to yourself. If you have a self-esteem, you will be committed. I have seen many of my directors as a scientist working late hours, coming early in the morning. I have a friend called Vinod Mathur. I called him a BlackBerry guy because as a director of a Wildlife Institute of India, he's constantly on BlackBerry, responding to every questions in detail. In my last 10 years of interactions with Vinod, there hasn't been a single email that has not been responded within 6 to 8 hours. If he cannot respond in detail, he will respond with a line that I will respond in 24 hours or 3 days, and you can be rest assured that you will receive a response. The degree of your commitment to your future depends on degree of your commitment to yourself. That will be reflected in your professional behavior as well, which also calls for a self-discipline. Before disciplining others, we have to discipline ourselves. When you go to Bombay, you drive the car in a lane. But when you drive the car in Pune, you will go zip-zap way. When you go to United States of America,